Okay, now we're going live. I don't know what that was before, but I told y'all anytime I start talking, like stuff or the test just manifests oh so quickly. Okay? Oh so quickly. Greetings and welcome back once again. This is Amuni Israel. I've been wanting to talk about this book for a minute, but let me just start y'all at the top of the day. I didn't video today when I was coming in. I was thinking about some stuff, and so I was just riding in quietly. So then I saw some opportunities, and I needed to do a pitch for an opportunity for the business, right? And so I do this pitch. It's a new program. It's a new platform. I'm new to all of this. The way that they set it up, you can't really go back after you upload the thing. Long story short, I uploaded the thing. I finished the pitch. I did all that. And then I looked and realized that I hashtagged it the wrong hashtag. And the hashtag that I hashtag is not registering where the people will be able to find this pitch. So I'm like, see, I'm going somewhere here. Just, I told you, anytime I'm going to talk about something, it just, life just gives me the example, right? So this just happened today. Actually, it just happened a few hours ago. Anyway, so there I was like, okay, let me write tech support because I'm brand new to this app. Write tech support and like, hey, I just finished this pitch. The only thing that's wrong is that I hashtagged it the wrong hashtag. Is there a way for me to go in there? And they're like, nope. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. You know what I'm saying? It took me a minute just to do this little 60-second pitch. So then I'm like, wow, okay. So I'm thinking. So I said, oh, bright idea, Muna, bright idea. Just put a response and then let the people know that, hey, I accidentally. Because remember, I don't want to do this thing all over again. Because it's not like cut and paste you can upload. Like you have to do it live. That's it. So I'm all like, maybe if I do another video. So the video that I did kept cutting off the original pitch. So I'm like, what in the world? So I deactivate that video. I write them back like, hey, man, can you help me out here? They're like, no. And actually, the best advice I can have for you is that you got to do it again. I'm like, do it again? Do you know what I just went through to do it this time? And now you want me to do it again? How many things in our life that was so laborsome, we thought, although the end result, like if the pitch gets picked up, it will be beneficial. But during the process, you're like, oh, wow, I don't think this is not the funnest. And I just made that word up. This is not the funnest thing to do. And I don't know if I want to do it again. So I'm thinking really hard because I did a little food prep for it, for my little, I had my props and stuff. So I'm like, we already ate the props. We did like some vegan, boneless, what is it, babies?
Boneless chicken wings.
Chicken wings, okay? We ate the props, you know what I mean? And I have to do this thing all over again. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, I'm going to get off your behind. It's worth it in the end and just do it again. I found myself complaining like, oh, I don't want to do it again. And long story short, I did it again. Do over. So I come to YouTube. No, on the same app, I see a question of what book you was reading. I brought this book to the Yummy a while ago because I had finished reading it and it was just so interesting. I said I was going to share it. Then I said I was going to share it on Facebook. I didn't get around to it. And now that I'm sharing more on YouTube than I am on Facebook, then I'm like, I'm going to bring it and share it with you guys. So here I am setting up this live stream just now. And I set up everything. I put in the title. I do all that stuff. And it freezes. And I'm like, it froze. So I had to put the little X. And guess what? Here I am doing it again. So it's just that kind of day where sometimes you have to do over. And it leads me right into this book here. It didn't start with you. I don't know if you ever seen this book before. How inherited family trauma shapes who we are and how to end the cycle. A cycle is doing it again. The person has cycle. You have family history that cycles. A lot of times, if it's and this is Solonomics, hashtag Solonomics, y'all. A lot of times, if it's something undesirable, depending on the family, they will not talk about it. They will cover it over. They will sweep it under the rug. And you will repeat these behaviors not knowing that it's in the air. So this book it would take a lot for me to like go in, because I highlighted a lot. What I would say, and I've shared a lot of resources on here in times past, is that what I found in these books, these particular books, and this was written by Mark Woolen. Books like Trauma Bonding, this book, Breaking the Habit. Hey, Jason, what's going on? Jason, anytime you're ready, let me know. And we can have that conversation. Let me know if you're available, when you're available. For me, I would have to do it more in the night so that I can do it on the other computer so that I can bring you up as opposed to the phone. But so what was I gonna say? Yeah, so books like these, I read them for the value that they provide, not necessarily looking. You could hit me up on the you can hit me up on the email. The email is in the box below. I always have the email in the box, solonomics@gmail. You can hit me up on the email and let me know, and then we could take it from there. I look forward to the conversation. What was I gonna say? A lot of times these type of books written by certain demographics of people will not mention the Holocaust that is known as the transatlantic slave trade and the issues that ensued thereby. These type of books, I'm like, be prepared, because some people are like, well, I don't want to read those books. I find value in these books because I'm not looking for validation. I'm looking for information. You know what I mean? And so sometimes you're looking for somebody who may be in the class of people who abused you to then acknowledge that abuse. It doesn't always happen. So that's not what I look for in these books. So in this book, as well as others, they do talk about the Holocaust. They use places where people have gone through extreme trauma. They talk about Vietnam. They won't talk about slavery, but they'll talk about all of these other things. But it's fine. Okay. And I guess I'll go some of the highlights out of it. Lost and found traumas. It talks about how trauma, the same question about epigenetics, PSD, and things being passed down. It talks about how you inherit this energy. It could be from your immediate family, someone in your family. It could be situations that no one is speaking about, but you feel this heaviness or you feel compelled. And what he did was a study and found that the things that were pressing in certain people's lives actually was repeat emotions and experiences of their family members. It's deep. It's really deep. So it's basically, he calls it a family inheritance. Okay. Also, he goes into speaking about the fact that early on in the time when you're in your mother's womb, or the DNA, the genetic makeup that is going to be the making of you, is actually in your mother while she's in vitro in her mother. And that's wild. Let that sink in for a minute. I've said that before in other spaces, and he comes and speaks about that more. I might have to come and break it down chapter and chapter, but for right now, I'm just doing an overview. So they said that the woman is born with all of the eggs that she's going to have in her lifetime. So when the woman is developing in her mother's womb, what she has those eggs within her. So whatever she's experiencing energetically, biologically, whatever her mother's experiencing is being imprinted in the DNA. So your grandmother, basically, I was alive. Hey, Edgar, thank you so much. Welcome. I was alive genetically while my grandmother had my mother in her womb. So whatever my grandmother's experiencing, and funny enough, my grandmother would always say to my mother, be careful when you are pregnant, because what you're experiencing, that child is experiencing. Those emotions, you will imprint that child. This is why each and every soul comes out. Not only does each and every soul have a different destiny, each and every soul comes out differently because each pregnancy is different. So a lot of times in this society, pregnancy is not really taken to as seriously sometimes as it needs to be, as not only a physical thing, take your prenatals, do this, do that, but as a spiritual thing, right? So he speaks about that, which I think is very important. If the mother is highly stressed during pregnancy and high levels of cortisol is being released into the placenta, high level, you allow that child to become addicted to excitement. So you might have people in your life who may be like addicted to being hype and da 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 and da 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 da, and they carrying on, and there may have been in their, like they say, in their birth water. So he goes into that in this book, cellular biology in this book. He goes into talk up. You finished? You did the math? Okay, so then you're not done. Pull it up. He talks about the mental state of when you're having the child, whether you wanted the child, what thoughts were you feeding that child, that you're feeding physically that child, and you're feeding spiritually and emotionally that child. Okay? So think about that even when you talk about the condition of post-slavery and what many people are thinking, or the woman is thinking when she's pregnant. I don't know. Okay. So the experiences of the grandmother actually passes down. Yeah. And then it continues because as we're saying that mother is in the grandmother's womb, and in genetic form, that child is in the womb of the grandmother also. It's a wild thought. Let me see if I can read that for you. Let me read it. Let's see if he can make it a little more clear. Make it a little more clear. He says, the history you share with your family begins before you are even conceived. In your earliest biological form, as an unfertilized egg, you already share a cellular environment with your mother and grandmother. When your grandmother was 5 months pregnant with your mother, the precursor cell of the egg you developed from was already present in your mother's ovaries. This means that before your mother was even born, your mother, your grandmother, and the earliest traces of you were all in the same body. 3 generations sharing the same biological environment. Let that marinate. That's deep, man. I had to mark that up because I was like, that's real talk. That's real talk. Let me see here. So he goes into here's another thing that I was that's wild, right? That is wild. Now, concerning cellular biology, he says, according to Lipton, he quotes Lipton early on. It's a Dr. Lipton who spent decades as a medical school professor and research scientist investigating the mechanism by which cells receive and process information. As a Stanford scholar and researcher from 87 to 92, he demonstrated that signals from the environment could operate through the cell membrane, controlling the behavior and physiology of the cell, which in turn will activate or silence a gene. He's talking about epigenetics. My mind is on epiyatas, y'all. Sorry. Y'all must be like, yo, homegirl is over here. One day she's making giant epiyatas. The next day she's dropping knowledge. Just understand, this is Amuna. This is how I get down. It's all right. We rocking with it. So we're going to jump down to what Lipton says. According to Lipton, the mother's emotions such as fear, anger, love, hope, among others, can biochemically alter the genetic expression of her offspring. So if you have a mother, she's pregnant, she's stressed out because of bills, because where she going to live, or she's going to be homeless, or she's being abused, or whatever she's experiencing while she's carrying that child, this is affecting the disposition that child will hold. You know what I mean? So when we're talking about healing, because that's ultimately why I look and research all of these type of things, because at the end you have to study what's broke and how we got broken. So one of the things I advise, and also I have a few books on Amazon. I haven't said that in a while. Solonomics is one of them. I have a Solonomics course on thesoulcenter.com. I guess I'll put that in the link. And so one of the things I advise in the things that I've shared over the years is, most high willing, if your parents are alive, if your mother is alive, go and ask the story. If you're trying to figure out like what's wrong with me, why do I operate the way I do, it's important to have them set the stage for when you weren't here. What environment was around that then you came into? It's very important. Like I did that back when I was 25. I was like, so tell me the story. Go to my grandmother and ask her about my father. And, these things are important if you're trying to understand. Not for the blame game or any of those things, but just if you're trying to understand. Okay, let's jump down a little bit. This is page 27. For those who just joined us, I'm reading a little bit out of It Didn't Start With You. how inherited family trauma shapes who we are, and how to end the cycle. Okay, chronic or repetitive emotions. Oh, I think I read that already. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. No, I didn't. Chronic or repetitive emotions like anger, fear can imprint her child, essentially preparing or pre-programming how the child will adapt to its environment. Lipton explains when stress hormones cross the human placenta, they cause fetal blood vessels to be more constricted in the viscera, sending more blood to the periphery, preparing the fetus for fight and flight behavioral response. In that sense, a child who experienced a stressful in vitro environment can become reactive in a similarly stressful situation. One of the things that I learned is that my in vitro experience was stressful. And so that helped me to understand why I had such a early on fight or flight instinct. You understand what I'm saying? And why it was so heightened, and why other people may think, well, that wasn't such a big deal. Why did you react that way? You know what I mean? And so once you kind of get to understand, no, don't do this. And everybody, I'm saying all this to say everybody have different ingredients in their pot. Let me see what else I can drop here. I'm not going to stay too long because she just came and perched right here because we got to go to the library, y'all. A little bit more about the stress of this is coming from the book Nurturing the Unborn Child, a 9-month program for soothing, stimulating, and communicating with your baby. It says psychiatrist Thomas Verney tells us if a pregnant mother experiences acute or chronic stress, her body will manufacture stress hormones, including adrenaline and noradrenaline that travel through her bloodstream to the womb, inducing the same stressful state in the unborn child. If when you're pregnant and you're stressed or frightened, you would feel the child like balling up in your womb, like tensing up. You know what I mean? And if the thing was really frightening and the mother is afraid, sometimes you would have to be still for a very long time before that child feels comfortable enough to begin to move again. You know what I mean? And sometimes you'd be like, wow, did the baby move today? You see what I'm saying? And so this is very real stuff. So when I see people who are pregnant and like fighting and carrying on, they on World Star, they carrying on, they doing all this stuff, and little Johnny and little Tasha come out and is a little bit off the chain, like this child is bad or this child is this, not considering that whatever energy the man came in the procreation stage, whatever energy the woman and the mentality that the woman kept while she was impregnated determines what's going to be delivered. I think I've said this before. If you are listening to Toni Braxton, unbreak my heart, say it loud, you know, you're doing all of that, and you over there, you got the lights down, and you sad, and you gonna go draw a picture. What do you think the picture's gonna look like when you go create, right? Emotionally, mentally, artistically, more than likely you're gonna create some type of sad looking, you know, because that's the energy that's in and around you when you began to create this picture. So our feelings are the precursor, and our thoughts are the precursor for whatever it is that we're creating. For those who just joined us, we just getting a yittle. Now, a lot of people throw epigenetic, the word, around. I like to kind of continue to study about it because it's not just to sound cool, like, ooh, epigenetics, ooh, yeah. It's like, okay. What's so funny, Tutu? She loud, she's like, mommy's silly. Okay. Okay, Lipton stresses the importance of what he terms conscious parenting. Parenting with the awareness that from preconception all the way through postnatal development, a child's development and health can be profoundly influenced by the parent's thoughts, attitudes, and behaviors. Parents that did not wish to have children or a child, parents that are continuously concerned about their own and consequently their offspring's chance for survival, women who sustain physical and emotional abuse during their pregnancy, all represent situations where adverse environmental cues surrounding the birth of their child can be passed on to the offspring. Okay? So, when we talk about, like I said, we talk about healing. Oh man, why are we thus? Why are we all jacked up? Why do we carry on like this? It's deep, and it starts with, I always say it starts with the individual, because if you try to collect all the collective, everybody does not have the same family trauma, although in some spaces it may be similar. Everybody does not have the same individual journey. So for me, it is backwards to try to fix things in the collective while the pieces have not fixed their own self. The pieces is each and every individual, okay? What's so funny? Okay, I'm gonna read a little bit right here. I'm not gonna read, this is what, chapter 2? I believe it's chapter 2. This is 3 generations and shared family history, the family body, okay? So I'm gonna read a little bit about epigenetics here. This is the part, don't get mad, because I told y'all they really don't give credence where they need to. They talk about 9/11. It's funny. They talk about 9/11, the Trade Center, the Depression. They'll talk about everything else except that transatlantic slave trade situation. But let's continue. Epigenetics. The highlighted part. Non-coding DNA is known to be affected by environmental stresses such as toxins. So you're drinking, you're smoking, you're eating food that is toxic to the system. It says an inadequate nutrition as well as stressful emotions. The affected DNA transmits information that helps us prepare for life out of the womb by ensuring that we have the particular traits we'll need to adapt to our environments. According to Rachel Yehuda, epigenetic changes biologically prepare us to cope with the traumas that our parents experienced. Let me read that again because I found that telling. I'll read it again, but I feel like I'm yelling. Am I yelling? Let me know if I'm yelling, y'all. I feel like I'm talking really loud. Dear, darling, sweetness, can you turn that down a little bit? I feel like I'm talking loud. It says here. I wanted to go a little back where they introduced Rachel Yehuda. Hold on one second, so that you know who she is. Let me go back. I'm giving y'all the little elevator music. I know I highlighted who this Rachel Yehuda lady is. Man, what do that? Okay. Okay, here it is. Okay, Rachel Yehuda, a professor of psychiatry and neuroscience at Mount Sinai School of Medicine in New York, is one of the world's leading experts in post-traumatic stress disorder, a true pioneer in this field. In numerous studies, Yehuda has examined the neurobiology of PTSD in Holocaust survivors and their children. Her research on cortisol, which is the stress hormone, right? In particular, the stress hormone that helps our body return to normal after we experience a trauma, and its effects on brain function has revolutionized the understanding and treatment of PTSD worldwide. People with PTSD relive feelings and sensations associating with a trauma, despite the fact that the trauma occurred in the past. Symptoms include depression, anxiety, numbness, insomnia, nightmares, frightening thoughts, and being startled or on edge. So Rachel Yehuda, look her up. She's the leading, what does it say? Researcher in the field of PTSD, okay? Psychiatry and neuroscience. So I wanted to go back to let you know who Rachel Yehuda is. So when I go forward, you'll understand. So basically, what they're saying also here is that it's like you get a to-go bag, okay? When you're in your parents' womb, the environment that they're living in, whatever adaptations you need epigenetically, they give you that these coping mechanisms to a certain degree to survive, basically. Because when we first come here, our very first instinct is to survive. So your entrance into this world is going to tell you whether or not this is a safe place or an unsafe place. People are here to hurt you. Those are when you're coming in, when you're in vitro, when you're first born. All of those things are going to, whether there is enough or if there's lack, if your parents fed you on time. Hold on. I'm sorry. if your parents fed you when you cried, or changed you when you were wet, or did you have to stay long periods of times in wet diapers, or cry very long when you were hungry. All of these things program you, go into your subconscious because you don't yet have the words to express what you're feeling. While I'm talking, please. Okay? So you don't yet have the words to express what you're feeling, but it does go into your subconscious. They say what happens to you before it too goes very deep into your subconscious before you actually had the words to verbalize what it is that you were feeling or experiencing. All right, let's go forward. So now we up to Miss Rachel Yehuda her. Okay, so she says non-coding DNA is known to be affected by environmental stresses such as toxins and inadequate nutrition, as well as stressful emotions. The affected DNA transmits information that helps us prepare for life out of the womb by ensuring that we have the particular traits we'll need to adapt to the environment. According to Rachel Yehuda, I wish YouTube had a pause button right now. I wish YouTube had pause buttons. I'm on the phone, so I can't pause it, y'all. I gotta roll with it. According to Rachel Yehuda, epigenetics changes biologically prepare us to cope with the traumas that our parents experience. Okay? So we're coming in with baggage, basically. And the way in which we are adapted, certain DNA code turn off and other ones turn on so that it helps us to stay alive, essentially. And this is the maladaptive way that we interface with one another. And this is why we keep running into brick walls, okay? All right, y'all. Let me go ahead here. They went into Native American youth. Like I said, they looked at Holocaust victims. They looked at 9/11. They ain't look at no slavery. But we'll continue. It says, specifically, Yehuda reports that children of fathers who have PTSD are probably more prone to depression or chronic stress responses. So it's not only just coming from your mother, it's also coming from your father. Okay? Yehuda believes that the stress-induced epigenetic modifications we inherit from our father occur before conception and are transmitted through our father's sperm. She also believes that these changes can occur in our mothers either before conception or during gestation. She also notes that a mother's age when a trauma occurs is significant for what she transmits to her child. You are finished? Did Shiloh help you? Okay. We're going to go now, okay? Okay. Yeah, I can't go all the way in. Let me just get... This is I found interesting and I highlighted it. This is Brian Diaz. One of the researchers of the study suggests that there's something in the sperm that is informing or allowing that information to be transmitted. He also goes on to say it behooves our ancestors to inform their offspring that a particular environment was negative environment for them. One of the things that I experience of slavery is that many people no longer wanted to talk about it. While it was happening, after it happened, it was something that, oh, that happened a long time ago. I don't want to go back there. So one of the coping mechanisms was to ignore or to diminish the effect that it had because they were still in survival mode, even after they came out. And up until this day, it stands to reason, up until this day, the melanated peoples who endure, whether you be in the Caribbean, whether you be in America, whether you be in South America, are still in this level of, for the most part, survival mode where they did not have an opportunity to process their trauma. Why is that different? Although people who may have experienced the Holocaust or 9/11 or Hiroshima or some type of war that somebody inflicted on another, when it's over, they're experiencing PTSD, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder. However, when it's continuous, as Dr. Joy DeGruy says, when it hasn't gone away, when you have not gotten to a safe space, you do not have time to process what you felt or what's going on. You're just still coping. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of our people and families are still coping. And what happens is it takes too much energy to backtrack and pull up this stuff because it's going to throw them off balance. I got to go to work tomorrow. Don't nobody got no time for that. You know what I'm saying? I have to do such and such and such. No one has time for all of that old stuff because healing is work. You know what I'm saying? You kind of have to, it's like you need your car to run. It's not running well, but you need to still go to work, and you see the light on, but you still need to go to work, and you don't have the time or the money or the currency to take it to the mechanic to get it fixed. So when somebody says, hey man, don't you see what's going on? Oh man, I don't got no time for that. And there are many, it's layered why they're saying that. You understand what I'm saying? Let me see. Let me see. Okay. I'm just going to do the last thing I highlighted here in chapter 2. I found it interesting that he went and pulled a biblical verse because that's what I was thinking when he talked about the generations feeling the effects of what happened before. He goes in to say, this is the author now. He says, given that a generation in human is approximately 20 years, the results from human studies spanning multiple generations are still pending. However, with the research demonstrating that stress can be transmitted through at least 3 generations of mice, the research... Who's that? What fell down?
That's my, the method with that method, so if accident fall down.
The what?
The thing that mother sold.
Oh, the measuring cup. The measuring cup. How you guys doing today? Work with me, y'all. Y'all already know the babies are in the house. Babies in the house. Anyway, where was I? Oh, however, with the research demonstrating that stress can be transmitted through at least 3 generations of mice, the researchers surmise that children born to human parents who experience a traumatic or stressful event would also likely pass the pattern down not only to their children, but to their grandchildren as well. Uncannily, the Bible is in Numbers 14:18 appears, this is funny, listen to his language, listen to the verbiage, uncannily appears, right, to corroborate the claims of modern science. If something is written before the claims of modern science, but anyway, let me not get, or vice versa. See, that the sins, iniquities, or consequences, depending on what translation you read, of the parent can affect the children up to the 3rd and 4th generation. Specifically, the New Living Translation, he says that the Lord is slow to anger and filled with unfailing love, forgiving every kind of sin and rebellion, but he does not excuse the guilty. He lays the sins of the parents upon their children. The entire family is affected, even children in the 3rd and 4th generation. I thought that was interesting because it does say that these things follow and cleave onto your offspring. Now, it can be something that you did later on in the book. He goes on to speak about things that the person does or something that happened to the person. Whatever you hold, okay? We'll come back and talk a little more. Let me know if y'all want me to come back and talk a little more about it, but I don't want this video to be too cumbersome. I just want to drop a little sprinkling here and there. But I'll say this. Do-overs, that's what I started talking about in the beginning. Whatever you hold and meditate on and replay in your mind, you continue to make it real and present. Like they said, if this thing happened 20 years ago, 5 years ago, but you keep replaying it and replaying it and replaying it, you release within you. There's another book that talks about the thoughts that we think releasing this chemical cocktail of hormones within our body. And some people are addicted to those hormones. So you may have somebody who loves drama. We can say, well, possibly this person was exposed to high levels of cortisol and stress hormones in vitro, and they're addicted to drama. Literally, not just figuratively, oh, they're messy. No, that feeling, that high, that, you know what I'm saying, that they get from something about to happen. You know, a fight is about to happen. Something's about to kick off. Emotionally, something is going on, but also physically with their hormones and chemically, that energy is feeding them. And it's an addiction. And so some people are addicted to, feeling depressed. Some people are addicted to highs, so they gamble or they do thrill seeking activities like, bungee jumping off of the highest building because they need that rush. So they become their internal dope dealer. You know what I'm saying? It's real. It's real. That book was called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. Dr. Joe Dispenza. And again, he speaks a lot, but he doesn't talk about slavery. But it's a good read. It's a good read. So that one is called Breaking the Habit of Being, and he's a neuroscientist, I believe. I read that book a while ago, but I believe he's a neuroscientist. So I say that to say this is deep, and it starts with the individual. I'll continue to say it starts with the individual. I could be out here be like, yeah, I'm for the people. I want to gather the people, and then cheeky, it breaks apart. And be like, why does it break apart, and why can't we all get along? Because we're not listening. We're not following the instructions that we need to follow to get the desired result. Why? Because it's easier to say, I'm going to go out here and collect a whole bunch of people and affect change in a whole bunch of people's lives and not have to do it in my own. When you're baking, there is a course of action that you need to follow so that you can get a desired result. If you do not follow it sequentially, then the project, the food, is not going to come out the way you anticipated. This is why usually when you're reading a recipe, it says first do this, then do this, gather all your dry ingredients, then all of your wet ingredients, then turn on your oven. Because imagine I started throwing all the wet in the dry without doing what I needed to do, didn't turn on the oven so it's not preheated, right? Start mixing it up, my batter's all lumpy, shoved the batter in a cold oven, didn't grease my pan. It said set it for 30. I set it for an hour. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't follow no kind of instructions. And then, ding! And I'm all excited like, yeah, this is about to be great. This is about to be the bomb. I open the oven. It's burnt. It's stuck to the pan. Some places it's not cooked. It's clumpy. And then I'm mad at the recipe. Like, who made this recipe? They don't know what they're talking about on YouTube. No, you didn't follow instructions. It starts with the individual. And there's so much work to be done on the individual. I promise you. I promise you. It has taken me, how old am I? I told you I'm about to enter what they say, the 40th chapter. It has taken me 40 years, but it has taken me 20. Wait, let me see. Hold on. It has taken me about 20 active years pursuing this, what I'm sharing with you today, right? Take it or leave it. I can only share it. So if you want me to come back and talk a little bit more about what I have found in this book, again, the book is called It Did Not Start With You. I got a shout out to my friend Monique because she knows I like reading this type of stuff. And she sent it over to me. And you know what I mean? And this is what it is. So if you would like me to talk about this some more, let me know. I'll probably come back and talk a little bit something because it's deep. And sometimes you have to do it over. Sometimes you have to start at the beginning. Anybody have anything to say? Feel free to do so before we say bye-bye.
I did check the comments.
There ain't nothing in the comments. Let me see. Is there anything in the comments? She's going to talk about, Mommy, did you check the comments? The comments act weird when I turn the phone a certain way. Sorry. Yeah? Solonomics, y'all. So the Soul Center, I'll write that up there. Can I write when I'm here? Let me see here. Live chat, all messages are visible. Sarai, what's going on?
I told you that's comments, Mom.
You told me that's comments? But how come I don't get to write? Do I get to write?
I don't know.
You don't know. Anywho, I don't get to write. I'll put it in the box underneath. I'll put it in the box. The Soul Center, Solonomics is there. Solonomics, the book is on what's that? Amazon, and a whole lot of other information that I've shared along. Like I said, there's a whole lot on Facebook. It's a project to bring it all over. That's why I said I'm gonna start doing it on YouTube. It'll be a whole project for me to bring it all over. And so, like the whole do over. You have to come back and revisit this subject. This is the root. Love you, sis. Love you, sis. What is the name of the book? The name of the book, again, is written by Mark Woolen. It's called It Didn't Start With You. How Inherited Family Trauma shapes who we are and how to end the cycle. Um, yeah, I'll come back. I'll come back. Um, I forgot what I was gonna say. This is why I thought it was very important for me to start this journey, because I didn't want to pass. I just knew intrinsically, personally, that I didn't want to pass any brokenness to the best of my ability onto my children. What I go, Medea. I didn't want to pass it on, And so the healing journey started before I began to have children and continues. That's one of their fingers. This is the one who made that noise in the kitchen. Say hi. It continues on, but I find that you have to arm yourself with information. You're late, it's okay. You're gonna have to get the replay. So I love y'all. Continue with the thumbs up, the subscribe, the share if you're enjoying this video. Because again, like I said, I shared yesterday, and Jason said he's gonna come in. So I look forward to that. Jason's gonna come in and we're gonna talk about ADOS, the Caribbean. We're gonna talk about all of that, because what I find is that in all of these spaces, you glad I'm back? I'm glad to see you too. I know it's been a while, y'all. It's been a while. But in all of these spaces, each and every individual and community is struggling with the root, as Sarai said, the root issues, the root problems, right? And because we have so much going on, we try to prioritize. It's like you have a lot of bills and you can't pay, or you don't have the resources to pay all the bills. So you be like, I'm gonna have to let this slide. Nah, I really have to pay the rent. You know what I'm saying? But I could let the cable bill slide. So that's kind of how we prioritize the trauma and the things that we need to accomplish. You be like, okay, so this is actually happening. The oppression is happening. That's really at the forefront. We really have to deal with our relationship with each other. But we'll let that slide for now, because now we have a common enemy. And all the while where you're like hand in hand locked, boom, out jumps the relationship. I'll bring this back too. There was an elder, and I'm going to go after this. I think I'm going to bring it and play it. He was on Philippe Matthews' show. His name is Dr. Edwin Nichols. See, my memory's coming back. And I never forget him giving this lecture. And we'll come back and talk about the lecture. Because for me, in all of my research, this what he shared from his life research was an important key to understanding melanated people versus European people versus Oriental people. He breaks it all the way down to the gram. So remind me.
You're funny.
I'm funny. Remind me about Dr. Edwin Nichols so I can share once again, because that's a piece of the puzzle. One of the errors that we have is we keep comparing ourselves to everyone else. Why is it that Chinese people can do this? And why is it that Native American people can do that? And why is it that, who else did I just mention? European people can do this. That to me is a number one error, especially in light of what he shared in his lecture. He's on Philippe. Okay, if you remember Queen T, he was on Philippe and shout out to brother Philippe Matthews. I know you're gonna be like, Amuna, you went over there to go make enchiladas and stuff. But I was on Philippe 2 years ago? Before I started the Yummy College, I used to do a lot of Philippe. So I want to say that episode, I'm gonna have to go back and look. That episode was about 2 years ago, where he shares the value systems that he learned by observing the different cultures, and why it doesn't benefit us to compare ourselves to others, because we value different things. So I'm gonna go back and read and revisit that episode, and then bring some of that information so we can have it while we are having this discussion, and hopefully it'll shed a little light. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Hold on, let me read your comments. YouTube is hating on the kid. Okay. Iyanla has a book on the same topic, Peace for the Pieces, those transgenerational curses and trauma. What's the name of the book, sis? Feel free to share the book. My books are packed up. I just picked out a few books. I'm like, all my book babies are packed up. But I picked out a few books that I wanted to read while I was in transition, and this was one of them. The other one was Callie House. My book babies? I'm about to take these jokers to the library, because these jokers be on some checking out 20 books at a time. Like, I love, reading. This is where we're going to find it. Videos are good and this is good, but reading is fundamental.
It's fun.
You like it? What do you like about it?
It has pages.
It has pages, y'all. And what else?
And it has lots of pretty words.
Pretty words.
And it's easy to read when you know.
How many books you check out when you go to the library?
About 30?
10?
I like reading.
You like reading?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here comes another one. You like reading too?
Yeah.
You do? Why you like reading? Hmm? Why you like reading?
Because it has pages in it.
Did you just steal Malaya's answer, dude? She said it had pages. You say it has pages. Of course the book has pages. What else?
It's fun.
Huh? Don't be feeding the girl answers. What else? Let me go, y'all, because the library locks. This one,
It's fun to read.
it's fun to read. It closes at 8 o'clock today. So let me take them over there. I promised them to go to the library. We'll be back. Okay, we'll come back and talk about chapter 3. We'll come back and talk about chapter 3.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.